Is a massive wealth reset really coming? The evidence might shock you. There's a quiet shift happening in the global financial system. Most people are still focused on headlines, debt ceilings, inflation reports, crypto scandals, but behind the noise, something much bigger is unfolding. A potential redistribution of wealth on a scale we've never seen before. Not just stimulus checks or tax reforms, but an entirely new framework for how wealth is stored, transferred, and claimed. And if you know where to look, you can already see the blueprint forming. Let's start with the numbers, because they don't lie. As of today, the U.S. national debt is sitting at over $36.2 trillion. That's more than 122% of the country's GDP. And it's growing fast, roughly $1 trillion every 3 months. To put that in perspective, the U.S. is now accruing debt faster than any country in recorded history. And the gap between income and spending continues to widen. But here's where things get strange. If you go to usdebtclock.org, a popular real-time tracker of America's economic statistics, you'll see a section labeled Hidden Wealth. It shows a number that doesn't make sense unless you believe something massive is brewing. As of now, that hidden wealth figure suggests a possible payout of nearly $500,000 per U.S. citizen, not per household, per person. The question becomes, why would this site show $500,000 per person in potential hidden wealth? Where is that number coming from? And why is it displayed alongside terms like DeFi, bankless revolution, and asset-backed currency? Let's break this down. M2 money supply in the U.S. is currently at $21.76 trillion. That's the total amount of liquid money floating through the system. Cash, checking accounts, savings, and short-term assets. But the debt clock is showing additional wealth not included in that figure. It's referencing a pool of unacknowledged value, possibly tied to institutional holdings, sovereign wealth accounts, or assets intentionally kept off the books. Some of these numbers hint at wealth that's been hidden in plain sight, wealth potentially owed to the public. And if that's true, then the entire foundation of debt-based finance could be about to collapse or transform. This brings us to NESRA and GESARA. NESRA stands for the National Economic Security and Recovery Act. GESARA is its proposed global counterpart. These ideas are often labeled fringe, but when you strip away the internet hype and look at their core principles, what remains is fascinating. Debt forgiveness, the elimination of income taxes, and the return of stolen or suppressed wealth to the people. They also include the dissolution of the IRS, the reformation of banking systems, and the introduction of asset-backed currency. Even if you're skeptical of the theory, the world is clearly moving in a similar direction. Let's talk about taxes. Right now, lawmakers are actively exploring new models of revenue collection, transactional microtaxes, consumption-based systems, and even blockchain-integrated models that track activity without invasive oversight. These conversations are happening in real time, not just in think tanks, but within government circles. And then there's the Department of Government Efficiency. It exists. It's real. And its recent updates have included digital transformation initiatives focused on accountability and transparency. The agency is quietly aligning itself with emerging financial technologies that could replace entire bureaucracies. Why now? Why this fast? The answer may lie in what's coming next. Let's shift to XRP. Currently trading at $2.33, XRP doesn't move like a typical cryptocurrency. That's because it was never meant to be a retail investment. It was designed for institutional liquidity transfers. Its network is capable of settling cross-border payments in seconds at a fraction of the cost of traditional systems. Ripple, the company behind XRP, has secured partnerships with over 300 financial institutions around the world. That includes central banks, clearinghouses, and payment networks. This isn't a theory. It's the foundation for a replacement system, one that's faster, more transparent, and more secure. And here's where it gets even more interesting. XRP's protocol allows for the tokenization of any asset, not just currency. That includes real estate, stocks, bonds, and even gold. In a future economic system driven by tokenized value, this becomes revolutionary. It could mean instant ownership transfers, smart contracts replacing middlemen, and the complete overhaul of outdated legacy banking systems. What we're witnessing is the groundwork for a shift that impacts not just money, but value itself. Now consider this. Gold is sitting at $3,357 per ounce. Silver is at $33.48. Both have been steadily rising not just from consumer interest, but from aggressive acquisition by governments and major financial players. This isn't panic buying. It's strategic positioning. Why? Because the next system likely won't be backed by nothing. The US dollar has been unbacked since 1971. But with fiat confidence waning and inflation climbing, countries are turning back to real value, gold, silver, commodities, and blockchain-secured ledgers. That's why nations like Russia, China, and members of the BRICS alliance are now building trade systems based on physical assets. Even the IMF has proposed rebalancing their international currency basket to include commodities. It's a clear signal the future is moving away from debt and toward value. So where does this leave us? Back at the debt clock. Why would it show a $500,000 per person figure if there wasn't something behind it? What's the purpose of broadcasting hidden wealth, DeFi adoption, and return to sound money all in one place? Some believe it's soft disclosure, a quiet way to prepare people for what's coming without sparking panic. Others believe it's part of a coordinated transition, that we are already operating under a dual financial system, one collapsing and one quietly coming online. Whether or not you believe in Nesra or Dasara, here's what you can't ignore. The debt system is unsustainable. Hidden wealth is being acknowledged. Alternative financial rails are being activated, and governments are preparing for a reset. It might not come in the form of a one-time payout. It might not be branded under some official program name, but the mechanisms of wealth redistribution are moving. And this time, they might be moving in favor of the people. The Federal Reserve is under intense scrutiny. The IRS is facing long-term reforms. Centralized trust is being eroded and replaced by decentralized verification. We are watching the end of one era and the beginning of something radically different. So what happens next? Some believe the U.S. Treasury will issue digital credits backed by gold, silver, or other hard assets. Others believe private citizens will receive settlement payments for stolen labor, fraudulent taxation, or participation in unconstitutional systems. Still, others expect a full collapse before anything improves. But here's the deeper truth. It's not about collapse. It's about clarity. For the first time in a generation, people are paying attention to the rules of money. They're asking questions, they're reading between the lines, and they're preparing for what comes next. This isn't fear. There's awareness. And awareness is power. So is a massive wealth reset coming? All signs point to yes. But it won't look like what you've been told. It won't be televised. And it won't come with a warning label. It will unfold in policy changes, in back-end code, in financial infrastructure upgrades, and in revalued assets slowly working their way into the public system. If you're still waiting for a letter in the mail, you'll miss it. If you're watching the numbers, you'll see it forming. And if you're preparing, you might just thrive in the new economy while everyone else is still trying to make sense of the old one. If you found this video valuable, consider subscribing. You won't want to miss what's coming next.